Good morning, sir, and good morning, everyone. Today, I want to present about carbohydrate metabolism. Before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Putumera Chandra Chahani with lesson 1011. So, the first question, a student observed that cells are able to convert food molecules into energy and other biomolecules. Explain the definition of metabolism in cells and its role in sustaining cellular life. So, metabolism refers to all chemical reactions that occur inside a cell, which enable the cell to survive and function properly. These reactions include both the breakdown and synthesis of molecules. Metabolism plays important roles such as producing energy in the form of ATP, synthesizing essential biomolecules like proteins and lipids, maintaining cellular homeostasis. Therefore, without metabolism, a cell will not be able to carry out its functions. Next, the question 2. In metabolism, there are two main processes, anabolism and catabolism. A. Explain the definition of anabolism and catabolism. And B. Give one example each of a metabolic reaction that belongs to anabolism and catabolism. Answer. In metabolism, there are two main processes, anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism is the process of building complex molecules from simpler ones, and it requires energy. An example is gluconeogenesis, where glucose is synthesized from non-carbohydrate sources. On the other hand, catabolism is the process of breaking down complex molecules into simpler ones, releasing energy. An example is glycolysis, where glucose is broken down into pyruvate. Both processes work together to maintain metabolic balance in the body. Next, question 3. When all cell obtains glucose, the molecules is broken down through the glycolysis pathway. A. Where does glycolysis occur in the cells? B. Mention the three main stages of the glycolysis pathway. Answer. Glycolysis is the initial pathway of glucose breakdown. So this process occurs in the cytoplasm, specifically in the cytosol, so it can take place in almost all types of cells. Glycolysis consists of three main stages. First, energy investment phase, where ATP is used. Second, cleavage phase, where glucose is split into two smaller molecules. And the last, energy payoff phase, where ATP and NADH are produced. So this stage allows the cell to quickly generate energy. Next, question 4. A researcher states that glycolysis is the metabolic pathway that does not directly require oxygen. Explain why glycolysis can occur under both aerobic and anaerobic conditions. Answer. Glycolysis can occur in both aerobic and anaerobic conditions. This is because glycolysis does not directly require oxygen. So all reactions take place in the cytoplasm and do not involve oxygen. In aerobic condition, pyruvate enters further metabolic pathways in the mitochondria. In anaerobic condition, pyruvate is converted into lactate or ethanol. Next, question 5. During prolonged fasting, the body is still able to maintain blood glucose levels. A. Which metabolic pathway is responsible for this process? B. From what type of compounds and can glucose be resensitized in this pathway? During fasting, blood glucose levels decrease. To maintaining glucose levels, the body performs gluconeogenesis. So gluconeogenesis is the process of synthesizing glucose from non-carbohydrate precursors. These precursors include amino acid, lactate, and glycerol. So this process mainly occurs in the liver, helping maintain stable blood glucose levels. Next, question 6. A student concludes that glycolysis and gluconeogenesis are opposing metabolic pathways. Analyze at least three main differences between glycolysis and gluconeogenesis in terms of function, main organ location, and direction of metabolic reaction. So, glycolysis and gluconeogenesis are opposite metabolic pathways. In terms of function, glycolysis produces energy while gluconeogenesis produces glucose. In terms of location, glycolysis occurs in almost all cells, especially muscle cells, while gluconeogenesis mainly occurs in the liver and kidneys. In terms of reaction direction, glycolysis converts glucose into pyruvate, whereas gluconeogenesis converts pyruvate into glucose. Next, question 7. In glycolysis, one molecule of glucose undergoes several reaction steps to produce pyruvate. Calculate the net ATP produced from 1 mole of glucose through aerobic glycolysis, taking into account ATP consumed, ATP produced, and NADH formed. During glycolysis, both energy consumption and production occur. Initially, two ATP molecules are used. Later, four ATP and two NADH are produced. So, net ATP is 2 ATP and ADH produced is 2 molecules, equivalent to about 6 ATP in aerobic condition. Therefore, the total energy yield is approximately 8 ATP. Next, question 8. In another experiment, it was found that the enzyme phosphofructokinase 1 or PFK1 plays an important role in glycolysis. Explain why this enzyme is referred to as a rate-limiting enzyme in the glycolysis pathway. Answer: phosphofructokinase 1 or PFK1 is known as a rate-limiting enzyme because it controls the speed of glycolysis. So the reaction catalyzed by PFK1 is irreversible, making it a K-regulatory step. PFK1 is sensitive to the cell's energy status. First, activated by AMP or low energy and inhibited by ATP or high energy. Thus, this enzyme determines whether glycolysis proceeds rapidly or slowly. Next, question 9. After intense running, an athlete produces a large amount of lactic acid in the muscle. This compound can later be converted back into glucose in the liver. A. Explain the metabolic process that occurs in this situation. And B. Mention the name of the metabolic cycle involved. So, during intense exercise, such as sprinting, muscle produce lactate due to limited oxygen. This lactate is transported to the liver and converted back into glucose. This process is known as the Cori cycle, which connects muscle and liver metabolism to maintain energy supply. Next, the last question. When the cellular energy level is high or high ATP, the activity of glycolysis decreases. Analyze how ATP and AMP regulate glycolysis and explain why this regulation is important for maintaining cellular energy balance. So, the regulation of glycolysis depends on the energy status of the cell. When ATP levels are high, it indicates sufficient energy, so glycolysis is inhibited. When AMP levels are high, it indicates low energy, so glycolysis is activated. This regulation is important because it prevents energy waste, it allows cells to adjust energy production based on demand, and it maintains metabolic balance. Okay, that's all for my presentation, and thank you.